Welcome back. In our first story in the IKtv news update, the families of 5 Vincentian students are still in shock after 3 of the hospitality students were killed in the horrific accident in Barbados yesterday morning, after it left 2 other students alive, seriously injured, in their young Bajan friend and driver dead. IKtv received word yesterday morning that the students were all traveling in P6676, driven by Andre Gittens, a 23-year-old Cane Resort employee who was also killed in the accident. Dead are 19-year-old Azia Denny of Redemption Shops, Danny Horn, 17, of Kittels, and Karani Padmore, 18-year-old, of New Prospect, who were killed in a car crash at Christchurch in Barbados. According to reports, the students were expected to return home yesterday. We get more in this report.
4 of the 6 people traveling in this car died on the scene. Among them, 3 teenaged Vincentian girls: 17-year-old Danny DeVery Horn, 18-year-old Carrie-Ann Lenu Padmore, and 19-year-old Aziza Awana Denny were in Barbados on a 6-week training program. They were due to leave the island this morning. Behind the wheel was 23-year-old Barbadian Andre Gittins.
The 2 Vincentian students who were not involved in the vehicular accident in Barbados that claimed the lives of 3 of their colleagues and injured 2 others are now back in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. According to the Searchlight newspaper, the 2 female students of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College arrived this morning at 11:20 at the East Joshua Airport. They were greeted by their relatives, several high-ranking officials of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College, members of the clergy, psycho-social counselors from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, and other educators. On arrival, the students, their relatives, lecturers and others participated in a short procession with clergy at the VIP lounge at the airport. The returning students were part of a 7-person contingent from the Division of Technical and Vocational Education of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College that recently completed a 6-week internship at the Cane Hotel in Barbados. IKtv and staff expresses its deepest condolences to the families and the bereaved and who are mourning at this time for the loss of the 3 nations' youths. There was an outpouring of condolences during this morning's sitting of the House of Parliament to families and friends of the 3 Vincentian students and lone Barbadians who met their untimely deaths in a vehicular accident in Barbados on Sunday. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, lamenting the tragedy, led tributes paid to those who perished. The Prime Minister further explained that he has spoken to all relevant personnel at the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College, Division of Technical and Vocational Education, DTVE, and also with Dr. Giselle Miller, a psychologist, in the Ministry of Health. Condolences were also expressed by the Minister of Education Sinclair Jimmy Prince and New Democratic Party Member of Parliament for Central Kingstown Sinclair Leacock. On Sunday, January 29th, 3 female students of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College Division of Technical and Vocational Education and a 33-year-old Barbadian man died when the car they were traveling in collided with a bus at Graham Hall, Christchurch, Barbados. The students, who were a group of 7 on internship at the Cane Resort, were returning from a farewell staff function when the accident occurred. The other students are currently in hospital recovering from injuries sustained in the accident, and 2 are here in St. Vincent. In other news, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonsalves, presented an estimate of revenue and expenditure for the fiscal year 2017 in Parliament this morning, which amount to $797,943,437. The Prime Minister said this year's budget is some 7% increase over the amount budgeted for 2016.
The current estimates. The 2017 current expenditure, exclusive amount of amortization and sinking fund contributions, amount to $601.747 million. Current revenue, on the other hand, is $590.74 million. As a consequence, there's a budgeted current account deficit of $11,007,291. Current revenue. The current revenue of $590.7 million is 4.6% or $26.1 million higher than the budgeted current revenue for 2016. Revenue from tax sources is expected to yield $505.6 million, while non-tax revenue is estimated at $85.2 million. The improvement in the revenue estimates for 2017 is reflective of the continued real economic growth projected for this year.
The Prime Minister said that the 2017 budgetary estimates comprises recurrent expenditure, inclusive of prepayment and sinking fund contributions of $747 million, $376,387, the capital expenditure of $229,567,050.
Refurbishment of equipment for Bragsa, $6.7 million. Mr. Speaker, there's a lot of equipment from the airport which would be in Bragsa's hands. Tourism and private sector development, $1.5 million. North Windward Highway Rehab, $1.5 million. Environmental protection. Mr. Speaker, as I stated earlier, we're a small island, multi-island developing state, very vulnerable to natural disasters and the impact of rising sea levels as a consequence of climate change. We have seen the progressive erosion of our eastern coastline, the increase in frequency of intense weather systems, damaging our river defenses, roads and bridges, and creating problems also in the forest. We have in the estimate $16.3 million National Disaster Management Rehabilitation. This money is funded through the Caribbean Development Bank. Regional Disaster Vulnerability Reduction, $20.5 million. That is done through the World Bank. And there's a Coastal Protection for Climate Change, $1.5 million. I just want to say that
according to Minister of Finance, the Prime Minister St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the current revenue estimate for 2017 is 4.6% or $26.1 million higher than the budgeted current revenue for 2016.
There were additional drawdowns amounting to $31.2 million on 3 loans. And these were due to the Alba Bank El Fondo loans. These are one, the Alba Bank loan of $26.3 million, which had come to this House already for the completion of the AIA, an additional disbursement of $2.2 million of a public sector investment loan, 3, a further disbursement of $2.9 million on a second PSIP loan, phase 2, and C, an additional $6.4 million in fixed rate bonds was drawn down over the period under review, increasing the total bonds outstanding to $25.3 million, up from $18.9 million as of September the 30th, 2015. The public debt as of September the 30th, 2015 comprised as follows: Domestic, $585.3 million, or 34.8% of the total debt. External, $1,096,000, 65% of the total debt. The debt service for 2017 is estimated at $203.4 million. Interest payments, $57.8 million. Amortization, $121.6. Sinking fund contributions, $24 million. More details on the public debt can be found on pages 663 to 669 of the estimates. Mr. Speaker, goods and services. The planned expenditure on goods and services in 2017 is budgeted at $71.4 million. Progressive erosion of our eastern coastline, the increase in frequency of intense weather systems, damaging our river defenses, roads and bridges, and creating problems also in the forest. We have in the estimate $16.3 million National Disaster Management Rehabilitation. This money is funded through the Caribbean Development Bank. Regional Disaster Vulnerability Reduction, $20.5 million. That is done through the World Bank, and there's a Coastal Protection for Climate Change, $1.5 million. I just want to say that
he said there is a budgeted current account deficit of $11 million, $7,291. The new Police Cooperative Credit Union corporate headquarters was officially opened on Saturday, the 28th of January 2017. The office is now located on Bay Street in Kingston in the former Voyager building. The opening ceremony heard remarks from several officials in the credit union sector, and the keynote address was delivered by Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. Suboto Caesar, Minister of Agriculture, said that his ministry is on a quest to intensify livestock farming in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. As part of this mission, the ministry will be receiving assistance from Prince Edward Island to develop this country's cattle industry.
I met with several stakeholders in the agriculture sector. The visit was only a two-day visit. However, I met with the Ministry of Agriculture and several technicians in the ministry, and a pledge has been made by the private sector in the PEI, Prince Edward Island, to assist St. Vincent and the Grenadines with the advancement and the development of our cattle industry. The PEI is renowned for excellent pedigree of cattle, particularly in Holstein production, and we engaged the private sector there to firstly assist us with technology transfer as it pertains to embryo transplants in cattle. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have a quest to develop cattle production, particularly so in the aftermath of us exporting approximately 1,000 heads of cattle to Grenada since 2013. There are many persons who were worried that we will deplete the national herd. Since then, we have received assistance from the government and people of Jamaica and Cuba on the issue of artificial insemination. However, we are going to take the technology a bit further, and embryo transplant is going to bring significant benefits to persons who raise cattle in our country.
Minister Caesar said that the two countries will be involved in embryo transplant. He noted that they will first assist with technology transfer, and it will bring sufficient benefit to persons who raise cattle in our country. Meanwhile, J. Allen Miss Isaac, Minister of Agriculture in Prince Edward Island, said that his country is pleased to provide assistance to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
We'd love to have some of that pedigree and genetics come down here by way of embryo and expand the industry here and grow it here. And also with the beef, also the opportunity of some of the young people here coming back to our province and experiencing how we deal with our dairy cattle or how we work in our beef plant. And I'm really excited. In a couple of weeks, 2 of our dairy farmers, one of the farmers that Minister Caesar visited when he was on the island, are coming down here themselves, and they're taking their wives. I'm going to take a bit of a break and have a visit here and talk a little bit more about trade, because trade is what makes your economy grow and our economy grow. And we're really excited about the future. I was very pleased that the Minister invited me to meet with Prime Minister Gonsalves 2 days ago. A fantastic gentleman with a lot of life experience, and quite a pleasure and a treat for myself and my wife to meet with him.
He stated that he would love to have some of the pedigree in genetics to be transported there by way of embryo, which would help to expand the cattle industry. We'll take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have more local news for you. Don't go anywhere.